Welcome back to the Funny channel, and we've got a massive story that I wanted to get this out quickly. I've taken some information from a couple different articles like Krebs on Security, Techcrunch, and a few others to provide this summary. So some of this I'm going to be reading to you. So here's what the story is about. So AT&T has just disclosed a data breach where they have phone calls and text message records for roughly 110 million people. So that is pretty much all of AT&T's customer base. And so I'm going to dive into the details and explore why is this important to understand, and then a couple tips on what you can do to protect yourself. And also, this is not just AT&T; it's actually a number of companies that got their data hacked. But AT&T seems to be getting the biggest hit in the news. They had the most number of customer records stolen, but there's a number of companies that are on this hack list, and I'll list those out later in this video. So what AT&T revealed yesterday was that some intruders accessed an AT&T workspace on a third-party cloud platform. So why AT&T and these other companies would have such proprietary data on a third-party platform, that's another question. But the hackers managed to download files containing call and text interactions, and it's specific between the date of May 1 and October 31st in the year 2022, and then one day on January 2nd in 2023. So if you weren't an AT&T customer during that time frame, then you don't have to worry about it. If you are part of that, then you're going to want to take precautions and protect yourself. Now, they didn't get any content of the calls or the texts. With AT&T, they didn't get social security numbers or dates of birth or any kind of personal identifiable information, but it's still pretty serious. But some of these other names, other companies that have gotten hacked, they did get this kind of information. So again, I'm going to list those companies. Now, according to AT&T, while the data doesn't include customer names, there are often ways, and I'm reading this part of it, there are often ways to use publicly available online tools to find names associated with specific numbers. And so even though it's not directly exposed, it might be traceable. And so this is a very soft way of saying this, but with AI search tools and simple things where you can scrape information from Facebook and LinkedIn, run AI search tools. Like all you need is somebody's mobile number at this point. You don't need to know their name or anything else about them. And you can find a lot of information, people's history, job history, siblings, parents, addresses, all of that, just by knowing somebody's mobile number. And in fact, Afani, we're about to release in the next couple of weeks, it's a re-release of a tool that we had built before, but we re-engineered it, and you're going to be able to scan your own mobile number. You'll have to verify it to make sure you can't get information on other people, but you're going to see, we're going to make it very clear about how easy it is for somebody to get information about you without even having to pay a penny. Now, obviously, there's data brokers out there where you can pay, $9.95, $19.95 to get somebody's criminal record and things like that. So those always existed, and nothing really you can do about that other than pay these data deletion companies to continually delete that. So that's actually one of the things I'm going to recommend later on in terms of how you can protect yourself. Now, AT&T learned about the breach on April 19th, and they actually delayed it because the federal government asked them to delay it, and they did it for national security and public safety. So they didn't want to tell you about a breach that was information on 110 million people plus all these other millions of people from the other companies that were hacked to protect you. So hopefully they had a good reason, but probably not. Now, according to Techcrunch, the customer data was stolen as part of a larger breach involving more than 160 customers of the cloud data provider Snowflake. Now, I'm going to read this paragraph. And when they say 160 customers, what they mean is by customer, meaning that AT&T was a customer of Snowflake, Allstate was a customer of Snowflake, and so on and so on. And so this breach involved 160 customers of Snowflake. And Snowflake is a company that allows a business to upload data and then do analysis on that data. And what happened was that, according to TechCrunch earlier this year, hackers figured out that major companies were uploading sensitive data to Snowflake servers and that they were protecting it with just a username and password. So they didn't even require an authentication, physical authentication key, or an authenticator app, or a multi-authentication type tool. literally just username and password. It doesn't even look like they were requiring companies like AT&T and Allstate to even have SMS verification, and that's just kind of crazy. So it's not that AT&T got hacked; it's that AT&T and these other companies put data up into Snowflake servers, and then Snowflake got hacked. And so what happened was these hackers bought stolen credentials from the dark web, and these uh, nefarious people were selling access to usernames, passwords, authentication tokens that they were stealing by malware that they would push out on people's devices. And and as a result of this, Snowflake now requires all customers to use multi-factor authentication. But the damage is already done. And I've worked in Silicon Valley long enough, and I've been part of a number of startups in the cybersecurity space. And I've always been one of those people that have said, like, hey, don't you think like our data should be stored this way or that way, or we should secure it, better? And so I just know there's probably somebody at Snowflake who was told, 30 times, like, don't you think we should add this authentication? And there's probably one or two people that got in the way and thought like, oh, this isn't necessary. But this is kind of crazy. So Snowflake's going to be loaded up with all kinds of lawsuits, and I guess we'll have to wait for the news on that. Now, some of the other companies that were affected by these Snowflake data thefts include Advanced Auto Parts, Allstate, Anheuser-Busch, Los Angeles Unified, Mitsubishi, Neiman Marcus, Progressive, Pure Storage, Santander Bank, State Farm, and Ticketmaster. And I believe this is just, the big names. So this is a widespread issue. Now, one of the odd things is that Mark Burnett was quoted in a couple of different articles, and he's an application security architect. And his quote was that the only real use for the stolen data is knowing who contacted him and how many times. And that's invasive, but that it seems like Mark Burnett is diminishing what people can do with this data. Now, I could probably put a 30-minute video out on what nefarious people can do with this data. So for one, if you don't even need this data breach, if you just have somebody's mobile number, you can easily get all of their information, like I said before, their work history, their where they've lived, information about their siblings. You can then go and get information about their siblings, their family. Now, if you tell me that this is the only real use, I can't buy that. So I'd love to talk to this guy and try and understand where he's coming from, because this information, not only can I get information about your address and your jobs, but now if I have data on who you call, who's calling you, who do you text, who's texting you, but also in your SMS, for example, because this part of the data that was stolen is how many important SMSs do you get? Do you use SMS to communicate and get updates from your doctor, from your hospital? Do all of your banks text you information? Do you do SMS verification with these different companies? So now if somebody has that data, they can see who's the customer of Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Coinbase, all of these companies. And so they can use AI search tools as well, and then go multiple levels deep on you, and they can get information. So I've had somebody demo this for me, and you can, just by knowing somebody's mobile number, you can easily get one level of information, which is just like name and where you've worked and address and things like that. But then you run an AI tool on that, and it shows every email that you've been profiled with, every landline, every mobile number. And so what this kind of data breach leads to, especially not just AT&T, but all these different companies, what this leads to is identity theft, and SIM swaps are going to explode on this. So SIM swap hackers are now going to have access to all this information. They're going to know that you're AT&T. They're going to know your name. They're going to be able to use these AI search tools to get all kinds of information about you. And now if they know who you call and who you're texting, they obviously would know you're from AT&T. And I don't want to pick on AT&T because every single carrier has been hacked. They're just too big. They use so many vendors to provide all the services. It's kind of amazing. They don't even own really most of the cell towers anymore. There's 108 different companies that provide the cell towers, and these carriers are now just leasing leasing space on these cell towers. You think that AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile are handling your SMS messages, but that's outsourced. But in this case, these companies took your data and loaded them up into a third-party software, and that just that just seems kind of shocking to me. And to do it, upload data into Snowflake servers and not ask Snowflake, hey, how do you secure this data? This is our database of 110 million records, or all of our insurance customers, all of our auto parts customers. How are you going to protect this data? And that just seems like a crazy question that should have been asked, 1,000 times. But I'm sure it's going to get asked from all these different data providers and data storage companies now. To give you an example of one of the other companies that got hacked, so Advanced Auto Parts exposed full names, social security numbers, driver's license, and government-issued ID numbers for 2.3 million people who are former employees or job applicants. And that's just kind of crazy. So imagine the kind of data theft or these tax filers who are going to file your taxes in advance and modify the address so that your tax refund comes to a location where they can pick it up. The SIM swaps, the loans that can be taken out in people's names. So this is not a small hack. This is an extremely, extremely important one, or else I wouldn't put this video out on my way to attend a funeral. So what can you do about it? So I'm just going to do a couple quick tips now. I could actually make an hour-long video or 2-hour-long video on this subject, but I'm on my way to a funeral, so I'm going to get this out quickly. But a couple quick things. So one is make sure that you use a multi-factor authentication app wherever possible. So if your bank allows you to use one of these authenticator apps to authenticate in, do it. If you're using Coinbase or crypto accounts and you've just got SMS, go ahead and add that authenticator app. I recommend always to use multiple emails with different applications. So use one email for banking, use one email for crypto, use a different email for like AT&T, Cox Cable, all these other different providers. And then if you like to sign up for like newsletters and things like that, then have one throwaway email that you use simply that you're okay with being exposed. Because you got to remember that when you use an email with AT&T, that email, most people are using that email as their login for a number of different accounts. And so if you're emailing family, friends, signing up on websites with, mark@people.com, for example, and I'm also using that as my login for my banking, my crypto, my brokerage, my 401k, and other, you're already giving away half the information to these hackers. That means they know that your username, for example. So now they got to figure out what's your email? And, they can always use the forgot password method. And that's why they want to SIM swap you. That's why they want to steal your mobile account away so that they can reset your passwords through simple SMS verification or use a SIM swap to also take over your authenticator apps as well. So hardware storage like a YubiKey, or if you're into crypto, then cold storage is always the best. Now, 3, use a VPN whenever possible. It's not totally fail-safe, but it will protect you. There's a lot of YouTubers out there saying like, well, you don't need a VPN anymore, that 97% of the internet is encrypted anyways. But, the reason I use a VPN 100% of the time, for example, is that the good VPN providers provide their own private DNS, which means that when I'm going to go to bankofamerica.com, for example, then when my browser or my whether it's on my desktop or my mobile makes that request to the DNS servers to say I want to go to bankofamerica.com, that responds with an IP address and tells my browser where to then go. And so there's DNS hijacking, and there's people that will try and get in the middle of that DNS query, modify the IP address on return, and they're going to send me to bankofamerica.com, and it's going to look just like a Bank of America and ask me for my password and my login. And of course, it's not going to work. And while I'm trying to figure out why it's not working, a hacker is immediately logging into my Bank of America account and trying to take it over. 4th, and most importantly, is that if you're a U.S. resident, then use a secure mobile service from Afani, which resells AT&T and Verizon. and be secure from SIM swaps. We add privacy. We back it up with a $5 million insurance policy. So to summarize our business up in the most simple way possible, we protect important people. We protect people that want privacy and security, but our business is about providing a great mobile service and then backing it up by protecting this $5 million insurance policy from never being used. And that way, we're going to ensure we provide the 24/7 customer support. And because we have this policy to protect, we then go beyond what you would expect, beyond what the carriers are doing to make sure that you're protected because we want to protect this insurance policy from ever being used. Now, if you stayed this far in the video, I'm offering a promo. It's going to be in the description of this video as well, but you can just go to the link, fonny.com/YouTube. And you're going to go to a page where a little pop-up window will show you a $99 promo code called YouTube. Once you go to purchase a Fonny, it's going to auto-apply that $99. If you choose the monthly option, your second month is going to be free. If you choose the annual option, then the $99 will be taken off of the annual fee, and it's going to be auto-applied if you go to that page. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content on how to keep yourself secure. Thanks for listening. I wanted to get this out. I'm going to try and do more timely videos whenever these data breaches happen. But we'd love to have you join our secure mobile community. And until next time, stay safe and secure. Thank you.